have a question for you. Do you watch TV? Do you also play tabletop role-playing games? Well, today we're going to dive into what things you can steal from television to make your games better. So if you didn't know, my day job is in television. I've been working in TV, producing and writing, researching for over a decade. Additionally, I studied writing and theater in college. There is a lot I've learned about storytelling over the years and have found myself applying many of the things I've learned professionally when I'm running games and creating stories or even just playing in games. Plus, I just enjoy a lot of TV, like I'm guessing a lot of you do as well, so let's dive into what you can steal from television to make your games better. First, structure. Traditionally, we think of a 3-act story structure, beginning, middle, and end. Now, I actually find breaking up my sessions into more acts helpful. That's something that I've learned from writing a 6-act script for television. In dramatic writing, you'll often hear of Freytag's pyramid, which uses a 5-part structure. Part 1, exposition. Here you introduce your players to the story or scenario. Even if they're already familiar, relate them to the current events, set the scene, and lay the groundwork for the adventure or session or campaign. Part 2, rising action. The tension builds as your players delve deeper into the story. Always aim to end on like a cliffhanger or an exciting revelation to keep them on their toes at the end of part 2. Then part 3, the climax. This is the turning point where everything building up so far culminates. It's the high point of excitement and drama. Maybe it's the combat, or you play out how the players plan to break into the castle actually turns out. Like if you're running like a heist game, it would be the actual heist. Part 4, falling action. Following the climax, deal with the immediate fallout. This can be where your players experience a setback or encounter a new challenge that propels them towards the final part, which is part 5, the resolution. Resolve the challenge of that session or for a campaign, tie up the major plot points. Now, each of these sections should not be equal. In like an episode of a television series, part 3 is not going to happen halfway through the episode. Usually it's going to happen in the second to last act. So if you have like a 6-act show, act 1 is usually the exposition, act 2 through 4 will be the rising action, act 5 will have the climax, and then act 6 will be the falling action and the resolution. I find it actually helpful to think about games this way. I introduce the session, the job or challenge the players are going to face, build up through rising action until we reach the climax, where's the immediate fallout, and then resolve that challenge or job. And resolution isn't everything's done and now there's nothing left to do. Like in most TV shows, each episode has its own kind of mini storyline that gets resolved. Each episode falls within the pyramid of the season storyline. Also looking at the campaign with a wider lens of what's the campaign pyramid or even a season pyramid if you were running a long campaign. I think this can be really helpful to keep players engaged and coming back. And I think it's possible having part 4 and 5 built in really helps provide closure when you do have that for a campaign. Especially for a long-running campaign, give your players a chance to say goodbye to their characters and kind of close out their character's story. I want to give a huge thanks to all of our patrons, especially Sean. If you enjoy our videos and want to directly support us, Patreon is the best way. First, make sure you're subscribed here, then head on over to patreon.com/rollforinitiative after the video and check out the perks of being a patron. Okay, let's get back to the video. Now look, not every session will have its own story arc. There are just too many variables. Maybe your players take too long in one section than you anticipated. Maybe the dice just aren't kind to everyone that day. But I think especially for a one-shot, story structure is going to make the game so much more enjoyable. And if you can't close out a story in a session or a campaign, well, give your players something to come back for, which brings me to my next point. Use cliffhangers. This is something TV uses a lot. Some shows, a bit too much. Now, you don't need to end every session with like a big literal cliffhanger, but once you've resolved a storyline or session, give your players a little hook of what's coming next. If you do end a session in the middle of something, go for the dramatic cliffhanger. Like ending just as combat is about to happen, we'll roll initiative right at the beginning of the next session. People are going to want to come back and jump right in. But if you're able to resolve that session's main conflict, maybe your players overhear a rumor, they see a job posting, or you can even do like some exposition. Zoom out to show the players something maybe the characters don't see, but the players can kind of be aware of a bigger picture or a bigger problem that's going on. Like, hey, finding out that the reason the town was overrun with a flock of owl bears is because the big bad of the campaign is building a factory where the nest used to be deep, deep in the forest. Oh, okay, well, we know in the next couple of sessions, hopefully we're going to find out what that big bad's doing. And when you start your next session, borrow this other staple of television, recaps. I've talked about recaps before, but it just reminds your players of what previously happened. This not only refreshes everyone's memory, but also sets the stage for the current session. If you take breaks during long sessions, a mid-session recap can also, help maintain focus and momentum. Now, I've talked before about letting your players do a recap. I still really like to do this. And then at the end, I will also sometimes add in any details that I want to particularly highlight. Like maybe I'm reminding them of a PC they met in a previous session that I know is going to show up again this session. Or kind of refreshing that, hey, you picked up a magic item last session that I know is going to play a key role in the adventure they are about to embark on. And I want to make sure my players haven't lost it in their inventory. All right. And my final tip is to have character-focused episodes or character-focused sessions. So in TV series, episodes often focus on different characters or subplots. This allows for a deeper character development and also just a variety in your stories. Apply this to your campaign by occasionally spotlighting different player characters. A great way to do this is by exploring a part of a character's backstory or providing a challenge that they are particularly suited towards. This not only is going to enrich the narrative, but gives each player kind of a moment to shine. Now, if you do this, make sure you give everyone a moment in the spotlight. By borrowing all of these structural techniques from television writing, you can create a more engaging and dynamic campaign. Remember to build tension, use cliffhangers effectively, and give each character their moment in the spotlight. And for those times when those risks don't pay off, check out our video on how to fail well in your games. Also, if you want to know how to incorporate some elements from film, check out this really awesome video from Corkborgs and Curiosities. I really enjoyed it. I actually was already working on this video when I saw them post it, and it was just like, haha, great minds. Okay, so how about you? Are there any things from television that you have used for your game, whether it's kind of structural things or specific moments you've seen on TV and gone, I'm going to do that one day in one of my games? I'd love to hear about it down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye! And yes, our setup is different. We, flipped the room. This is my desk. Hello, desk. Hi. Why am I talking as a desk? I don't know.